now to think about what do we actually mean by digital theology. And as John and Katie said, I'm studying digital theology at Durham Uni, and you will, I'm sure, have all heard of Pete Phillips. Pete Phillips heads up the Centre for Digital Theology, and he has come up with these 3 descriptions of what digital theology is, looking at a digital culture through the lens of theology. Or another way of saying that, we might say, seeing how traditional theological themes are reflected in digital culture. So the kind of questions that we might ask around in this area, and there's a very familiar picture just about to come up. I'm sure you might have seen this picture over the last couple of months, a Zoom version of the Last Supper. So looking at kind of, we live in this digital culture, and what does this say about our theology, about God, our tradition, the Bible, our mission, our discipleship, our doctrine? What is all of this saying into digital culture? And here we have a communion table, a Last Supper, what we would call communion table. And communion online has been a really interesting conversation that's happened over the last 3 months across all the church denominations. So one of the questions we might be asking here, for an example, is, do we find the body of Christ online? Is the body of Christ about the bread shared, or is it about the community of people gathered? And does real Christian community only happen when there is a fleshly encounter? Secondly, Pete suggests that digital theology is about looking at theology through the lens of digital culture, a kind of other way around from what we've just seen. So some of the questions we might be asking here is, this might be one that's coming up for you, why don't we sell all the church buildings and just do everything online? It's worked perfectly well for the last 3 months. We might also ask, where is God in the digital? Perhaps that's one of the questions we're asking here. Where is God in the virtual world? Where is God on Zoom? How do we develop a sacred space online? That's one of the things that I'm looking at in our digital spirituality session. But also, how do we do things like theology and code? One of my chums, Father Simon Rundle, is a vicar down in Plymouth, and he does loads of stuff on creative digital resources. In fact, John and Katie remind me, and I'll send you the link to his website. But he's asking questions like this: how might we explain the concept of forgiveness digitally, or any concept that we use in the church digitally? Let's just have a quick look at this video that he's made. And I love that. I love that video. I could watch it all day long. A sense of being forgiven. If people don't understand this kind of like theological language that we use, how might we explain what that looks like digitally? And lastly, Pete suggests that digital theology is about using technology for the benefit of academic theology and ecclesial practice, and how we might use digitality to enhance the study of religious practice.